Right, should be alright. Hi there people, I'm just making a wee bit before this begins just to say that the activism really does work and that I encourage everybody to keep it up and keep speaking to people. There's many people who I spoke to today who I didn't get on film that were absolutely fantastic and it was a pleasure to speak to them. In particular, one Australian chap who was working at one of the stalls who knew all about it, had researched into it, knows that there are certain restricted areas close to him that you cannot go to independently, that you can't fly there, you're not allowed to go by boat. So people know about these things, and as you will see, there is a mixed response by many of the public, but the most important thing is that the vast majority that I spoke to today had actually heard about this. So we know that mainstream are starting to cover it, but it's still hugely important for you people to keep up the activism, because there is so much nonsense out there. There's so many, false claims being made in regards to maps and models and the ideas about what flat is. The most important thing is that you can point out the anomalies and the flaws with the globe and try and keep people to that rather than wandering off into belief. So as I say, I just wanted to make this wee bit just to stick on at the beginning here to say that, keep up the activism, don't be scared to engage with people. It is now a point where it's socially acceptable. People are talking about it. You will still get aspects of ridicule from closed-minded people, shall we say, but that doesn't matter. That minority will soon come to the discussion, and that's it. I just want to keep encouraging these discussions, and if there's anybody out there who thinks that they're any authority or that they have some sort of background where they think they have something different from the rest of us that can prove that we're living on a globe, by all means bring it forward. Come to one of the live events. So I just want to say this and thank everybody who spoke to me and engaged with me today, because there was many of them who I spent time with that we didn't get on camera. So it's much appreciated, people, and keep up the activism. It really does work. Cheers, people.
I need to hide.
You ever heard of flat Earth?
I have not.
You've never heard of flat Earth?
No.
Have you
I
ever?
have heard about the flat Earth theory.
What do you think about it?
I don't know. I think it's a bit unbelievable.
A bit unbelievable? Do you think it's more believable to think you're on a rock in a vacuum with gas and water all sticking to it flying through the vacuum? Do you think that's more believable?
Yeah. What do you think of flat Earth?
Where have you seen it?
Just on the internet, mate. Cunts writing mentions up and signs and that.
So people writing mentions on the motorway and stuff like that? Aye. Nice one. Cheers, bud. Have you heard of flat Earth?
No.
You've never heard of flat Earth? Have you ever questioned the shape of the world that you're living on?
Oh, squidgy.
No?
No.
Would you ever consider looking into it?
I probably wouldn't have time, to be honest.
You
with
wouldn't have time?
It's only because I've got twins, so.
And it doesn't really matter to you, you're too busy?
Busy,
Thank you very much, smashing.
Right.
Hi bud, what's your name, sorry?
John.
John? John? Have you heard of the flat Earth theory?
Yes.
Can I ask you where you heard of it?
It was on the news.
On the news, was it? Was that BBC by any chance? What did you think about it?
Didn't really pay much attention, but
didn't pay much attention?
Bit strange.
Bit strange. Do you think it's a bit strange that they're actually bringing it up and covering it?
No, pretty good.
Well,
different views on it.
Have you ever looked into it yourself? No. Do you believe that you live on a globe?
Couldn't actually tell you.
Couldn't actually tell you? Never thought about it. Do you think it's important?
Could be, aye.
Aye. Think it's important about, rationalising and theorising about your existence and to know exactly where you are. So for me it would be hugely important. Would you ever consider looking into it?
Possibly, aye.
Aye. Hopefully maybe just this wee interaction's enough to inspire you into look into it. Thank you very much, man, much appreciated. Thank you. So hi, what's your name, sorry bud? Craig, I'm Dale. Craig. David, how you doing, guys? It's what I want to ask. I'm just going to come in here so I can try and get the two of you in. It's basically about common sense and the reality that we're living in every day.
Yep.
So can I ask you, if I says to you, I can fly, would you believe me?
No.
Why?
Because you can't.
How?
You've not got wings.
What if I says to you, I can show you video of me flying? Would you believe that?
Aye, probably aye.
You would believe the video?
Yes.
But what if I couldn't show you in person, but I could only show you in video?
No, I wouldn't believe you could fly. I could believe you show me a video you can fly, but
Right, but you wouldn't think that I can fly in reality. If I was to make that cup there 100 times bigger,
I would thank you for it.
you would you'd thank me for that. If I was to make it 100 times bigger, what would the surface of the liquid be like inside there?
Wider.
How would you describe the surface of it?
Wet.
No, the surface. The shape of the surface.
Ripley, because it would probably, I don't know, it would probably move a wee bit.
What about the surface shape? What would you describe it as?
Flat.
Flat.
Well, it would have a wee dip in the
Meniscus.
middle.
On a small scale, do you think there's a dip in the middle of that?
Yes.
Do you think there is a
I know there is.
slight dip in the middle of
There
that?
is, aye.
And if I made it 100 times bigger,
It'd be probably about the same height. Well, no, it'd be a wee bit bigger actually. Aye.
would you describe it as being level? As long as it wasn't flowing away anywhere, you would describe
No,
that as
it
being
wouldn't flow away anywhere, no.
But if I tilted it,
Aye.
it would flow out.
Depends if it reached the lip or no.
If it reached the lip or no. So, you would agree then that liquids will take the shape of their container?
Yes.
The surface is always horizontal?
Yes, but with a slight dip in the middle.
With a slight dip in the middle.
Water sticks to the edge of the.
A meniscus?
Yes.
Yeah, but the majority of it,
Yeah.
the surface
it would
is
look flat.
would look-
Unless you went down like that.
would look flat. So my point of this is have you ever heard of flat earth?
Yes.
What do you think about it?
Don't believe it.
You don't believe it?
No.
Can I ask you, did you look into it or did you just dismiss it? With
No, I just dismissed it.
You just
because
dismissed
it sounds like one of the theories.
mad, crazy
Aye.
conspiracy
Yes.
theory? Could I ask you then, you believe it is a globe that you're living on?
Yes.
Could I ask you just your number one reason for why you would think that was true?
Just based on scientific evidence that I've not heard but heard people talking about.
So it's not through your direct
No, I've
observations?
never been to space or that and seen for myself.
It's just what you've been brought up and told
Yeah.
in school and blah
Yeah.
blah blah. That's it. That's pretty much it. Well, that's fantastic. That's usually what the real answer is for people.
Cool.
So, would you never consider looking into the possibilities that that's wrong?
Nah, I've not got enough time, man.
Not got
to
enough
do
time.
that.
What about you, bud? You ever heard of flat Earth?
I've heard it, but
No, think about it. Can I ask you where you heard it?
internet theories.
The internet. What about yourself?
Aye, same, aye.
Internet. Have you heard anything on the radio recently about it, or
No, I don't even listen to the radio.
nothing on the radio?
No, no.
Have you seen any of the signs on the motorway where people have spray painted it, or
No, just through social media.
just through social media? Nice one. Thank you very much, guys. How do you, bud? Great performance here, man. I really enjoyed it. Have you heard of the flat earth theory? You've never heard about that before? No, never heard it. Have you ever questioned the shape of the earth that you're living on? No? Would you ever consider it? Does it matter to you, or do you not care? Does matter?
Probably like to know that.
Probably like to know. So if I say that to you, there's a huge question being asked now about what the shape of the earth actually is. Do you think you'll have a wee look into it?
Probably.
Probably. Nice one, buddy. Thank you very much. Cheers. How you doing, buddy? Have you heard of flat earth?
I certainly have, aye.
You have?
I have, yeah.
Can I ask you where you heard about it?
It was either through Facebook shares, just online, or even
online.
just recommended videos on YouTube.
And are you seeing it quite often now, or are you...
I'm seeing it more and more, aye. Just
Aye.
like pages on Facebook and stuff are growing, so aye, I'm seeing it.
Can I ask you what you think about it?
It's a tricky one, innit? Because
Aye.
like, I mean, it's not, the stuff that they propose isn't impossible.
Yeah.
But so it's hard to, you know what I mean, like we're told a certain piece of information our whole lives,
Yep.
so then we don't know whether we should doubt it or not. So it's so
Aye.
I think it's not impossible.
So it has intrigued you then? You have
Absolutely, it's very interesting.
and you've been looking into it, aye?
Like time to time, you see something pop up,
Excellent.
I definitely watch it. It's
Excellent. So you would agree then that we think these things based on the education and what we were told through childhood and stuff?
Yeah, of course.
Aye. Excellent, man. Thank you very much for letting me know that.
Thank you, buddy.
Appreciate it, buddy.
Thank you, man.
Can I ask you, mate, have you heard of Flat Earth?
Flat Earth, I have, yes.
Can I ask you where you heard about it?
I've heard about it from people on Facebook.
On Facebook?
Aye.
What do you think about it?
I think that, personally, in terms of science and my understanding, that the Flat Earth theory is incorrect.
It's incorrect.
Aye.
So you believe that it is a globe then?
Yeah,
So it was Facebook, have you seen it anywhere else or?
mostly just Facebook.
And what do you think about some of the points that they bring up and they make?
I've tried to have a look. The most common one just seems to be that gravity is just a theory and stuff like that, but most
Yeah.
things started as a theory and got proved, so
Aye.
just...
Is there something convincing about the globe Earth that you could point to quick that would make you convinced that it is a sphere that you live on?
More so the fact that hundreds and thousands of years before we were here, that there was mathematicians
Yep.
that proved that the Earth was curved through just pure shadows from monuments. If the Earth was flat, the shadows should have lined up and things like that, but
So would you say that, if I was to say that correctly, would you say that's a fallacy, like appealing to authority or appealing to, past generations? Would you consider that a fallacy in your own thinking?
I
Or
would say about the globe theory,
not in your own thinking?
in my own thinking. No, I would say that it's pretty much backed up by science and mathematics.
Mathematics?
So, aye.
If I says to you, I know I don't want to keep you here, man, but if I says to you mathematics is a language, it's a descriptor of reality, but the substance has to come before the language, would you understand that? Would you agree with that?
I can see what you're trying to get at, but I'd say that mathematics is probably the closest thing that we have to explaining and understanding how the world works, whether
Yeah.
we believe it's flat, globe, or
I see.
cylindrical.
So you'd say mathematics is great for like technology, like creating that bike, for the clothes that you wear, the machines that make these things. It's a fantastic. So would you say then that maths is based on substance? It's based on actual substance that we can apply.
It's both. There's pure mathematics and applied mathematics.
Yep.
So with applied mathematics, an example would be my bike showing obviously circles, triangles and everything
Yep.
for the structure of the bike.
Yep.
Whereas pure mathematics is more hypothetical and how
Theory.
we think things happening for the most part turn out to be true.
Excellent. That's absolutely exactly what it is. Just on your quick point about Eratosthenes and his shadows things. Would you then consider that? What if the sun is a local light source? Like if me and you went to the end of this street and we had one light source in between us, our shadows would be pointing in different directions. Have you ever considered that?
I mean, it depends on where you are. It's all situational.
Yeah.
It's just a case of the fact that even with things like, if we're taking the sun for instance, we do have calculations that show that we do revolve around the Earth, or we do revolve around the sun, and it does take 8 minutes for the photons that leave the sun to reach the Earth.
Yeah.
We do have all of this kind of set in stone.
So again, sorry to just put in, is that based on things that you're being told or things that you have
This is
actually
things
applied
that
yourself?
This is things that you can understand yourself. It comes from a basic understanding of things like physics, maths, science in general.
Just a quick point on like basic physics, quick if you don't mind. Do you know how liquid behaves?
Yes, a liquid will take any shape of its container.
What's the
You're gonna
surface?
You were going to go. I know you were going to go with that. I've seen that one quite a lot. Is in how can water stick to a spinning sphere? But then you're going into things like Einstein's theory of relativity and frame referencing and stuff like that.
So that would be
we-
theoretical mathematics again?
This is you start to get theoretical physics and mathematics, which has a based understanding. Obviously, in the frame of the Earth, like I know you're going to go for the whole thing of the Earth spinning at like 15,000 miles an hour.
1,000 miles an hour at the equator. As you move away from the equator, the rotation gets slower.
Slows down. But in the frame of reference, in the grand scheme of things, for our size compared to something the size of the Earth, we won't feel that. It's the equivalent if you had, say, an atom on a golf ball.
Yeah.
If that golf ball is spinning at 40 miles an hour, that atom's not going to feel that force. It's just going to be relative to its own frame.
So regardless of motion in these things, would you agree then that there would have to be measurable curvature of the sphere Earth in order to be claiming that it is a sphere Earth? And would you also agree that it's a bit concerning when, science wanders away from facts, as in substance, and starts wandering into theories and jargon like that?
I'd say without theory we wouldn't have evolution. But
Also, you believe in evolution? I don't even want to go there.
I don't mean the whole in a religious aspect, but I mean evolution is man. So
Right.
before we had this building, it would have just have been a theory of, well, a house is constructed of a cube, you need 4 walls to hold it up.
Yeah.
Nobody would consider, well, what if we want something overhanging? So somebody's obviously thought that out, thought
Yeah.
through all the structures.
But it's based in substance. It's based on applying planar geometry. It's based on leveling. It's based on using spirit levels, plumb bobs. It's based in substances that we can apply and construct.
It started as a theory,
Yeah.
and it's
So-
obviously
so-
evolved into something with
So
substance.
theoretically, I could view how liquid behaves, and I could then say to myself, well, do you know what? Liquid always finds its level. The surface is always equal from one point to the other. So I could then apply that knowledge of that substance into construction, because if I want to construct something and make it level, I could use water to do so. Would you agree with that?
I guess you could do that.
Could do that.
In a sense.
So that's basically just my point. You know, I think there's a huge difference between theoretical and practical, and I think that's where this kind of debate, you know, people are getting confused about it, because mathematics is a formal science. It's a language. It's a descriptor of substance and reality. And if we have descriptions through the language but we don't have any practicality to back it up, for me there's a real issue there with that, because I need to depend on substance practicality. You know, so
I mean, everyone's an individual. If you have to depend on the substance, that's entirely, obviously, that's your prerogative. I just think personally, from a scientific, and as I've said, mathematics, scientific basis and background, I feel that as much as substance does provide, obviously the things we do have, theory does play a big part in it. Obviously, another thing could be with the water stick to the earth as we spin is surface tension. If you've ever sat like a coin, or
meniscus,
the surface tension, pull it
adhesion,
down.
surface tension.
It's to do with it's the way the atoms actually bond.
Yeah.
With surface tension, the actual is hydrogen bond. I'm sure it's hydrogen bond between all the water molecules, and because of that, they're constantly pulling themselves together.
We know that in small scale, like in drips and in small test tubes, we can view and we can look at meniscus and surface tension and adhesion in small portions. But when we collect drips together into a body, the physics and the characteristics are not the same as they are on a small scale like that. They do change.
But I mean, if we're going with that again, if it's small drips and things like that, I've seen a YouTube video of a YouTuber that liquid cooled a laptop by sitting it on the actual surface tension of the water, and the water itself pulled up to the laptop to cool it down. So if we're going with that, like that is...
So with the heat created a rise in the level of the water, because water will expand as it goes beyond 4 degrees.
That's correct. Water will expand as it goes beyond 4 degrees, and it's most dense at 40 degrees. It's also one of the few elements in a solid form will float on itself. But the relative expansion between, say, 0 degrees and 99 degrees, it won't be too great between, say, a liquid and a gaseous form, because between liquid and gaseous it's 1,000 times difference.
But even in that kind of practicality and that observation, the liquid is still in a container, am I right? If I was to fill a bathtub, you know, or even suggest to you that a body of water, and I was to submerge any shape beneath that body of water, you know, through observation and practicality, you're never going to see a silhouette or the shape of that on the surface. So for me to believe that there's vast oceans that are bending, not only is the bend going away from me, the water's not flowing and the water's displaying convexity upon its surface. And for me, that there is no practical reference that I can go to in reality to see that that's even possible, apart from small scale examples of a drip or meniscus. But if I try and apply that to the exterior of a shape, it just doesn't happen. I don't see it. So what I'm trying to get is, I'm trying to define and get to the roots of the separation of religious belief or theory and what is actually practically observable in reality. And for me, in order to know objective reality, it must have substance to it. It has to have practicality. Or, you know, I can just say to you, I can fly, and I can show you videos of me flying, and I can get 500 of my mates to testify that I can actually fly. You know, without the actual direct observations of you, you're never going to know that
If you can
or can. No. So it's like there seems to be this blurry line with science and religion, and for people like me, I think that it's important to try and separate the two so that we get back to substance, direct realism, and what we can observe and test practically. Would you agree with that, or would you Would you disagree?
I'd say again that's just more up to yourself. If you are more of a substance person, then that's fine. There is obviously, when in regards to engineers, they work purely on physical things all the time, and the maths and stuff that they've done. I keep going back to the maths, is obviously that's where my basis of this understanding begins. It's the closest thing we have to understanding and explaining how the Earth works, no matter what shape it is, whether it be flat, spherical, cylindrical, God's sake. Even with, I can understand from an engineer's point of view that substance itself is in physically having that object and seeing it happen. Right, fair enough, I can see how that works. But obviously when you're starting to come back into things, I'm not trying to blend science and religion, like physics and religion, I'm trying to keep them separate.
See, I totally agree with you, because a theory for me is absolutely wonderful, but a theory for me has to first and foremost be based in substance and practicality for you to then have a theory. So like, if, as I say, like I can test a liquid and then I can formulate a theory. Okay, if I encase liquid and I put a small air bubble in there, you know, theoretically I can, you know, assess if something's level or no, because the air bubble's going to move up or down, and then I can apply that. But again, my theory comes from understanding a substance. So as long as the theories are always based in substance, I really don't have any issue with it whatsoever. But when a theory has no practicality or anything to reference practically, I have to put it in the realms of religious belief.
I mean, again, like I said, that's entirely up to yourself, but just personally I feel it's more the science and understanding of it for me personally is more so that the Earth itself is a globe, and the science that we have worked out to back all that information up is substantial, whether it be physical substance or theories itself.
Well, mate, it's an absolute pleasure speaking to you, and I really appreciate you taking the time to conversate with me. And I hope that you look into it a wee bit more. And did you ridicule it when you first heard about it, or what was your initial reaction to it?
I just couldn't understand the thing behind it myself, because it just seemed so perplexing. When you've got the understanding that the Earth is a globe, you've been taught that from when you were young. I know you might go back on that, because that's another common one. It's like, oh, you've been brainwashed.
But that's exactly why. Same for me. Up until three and a half years ago, I just assumed it to be true, believed it complicitly, and then I thought I'm going to have a wee investigation into this, and it started to, you know, bring about some contradictions and some questions I thought were valid to be asking. So it's great to see that, you know, you've got that attitude and you're honest enough to have a look into it.
I'm an open-minded person. I have looked into it and stuff like that, just briefly and vaguely and stuff like that, and just had a look to see what it was about, but it just seems to be contradicting the things that I believe to be real and what I understand compared to just what I would believe to be, I don't want to say derogatory, but obviously like hocus pocus or things that are just something daft. But that's just me personally. Like I say, if it's what you believe in, that's...
See, it's funny, because it's funny how your perceptions change, because I would have been the same as you. And now, like, when I say to people, say this out loud, I believe I live on a rock in a vacuum with gas and water clinging to it, chasing a ball of fire through an infinite vacuum. And to me, you know, now that sounds absolutely preposterous, you know. But before I had a different view. But I totally respect, you know, where people are at and why they have these issues with it, you know. So thanks again, my man.
That's
it's been
no
a real pleasure. Thank you, bud. Cheers. Aye. Alright guys, how you doing? He's alright? Can I ask you, I'll just ask you one at a time, get your response, and I'll come round you. Have you heard of the flat earth?
No, mate.
Nah.
Aye.
You've heard of it? Can I ask you where you heard about it? School?
I've heard of it as well.
You've heard of it?
No.
You've heard it? Where did you hear about it?
I heard about it in a uni study.
A uni study?
Aye.
Was this just recently, or?
No, it was, you talk about flat earth theory?
Flat earth theory?
Yeah, I've heard about it through uni studies because I'm into physics.
Have you seen it recently, anywhere?
I've seen people believing in it again recently.
Aye. Do you think there's any merit in it? Do you think it's worth looking into?
Well, it's round.
I mean,
it's round. Why is it round?
I don't know.
It depends, because if scientists can prove it, it's worth looking into.
Do you think science should be removed from the individual? Do you not think that you should be able to assess the world you're living in for yourself, rather than depending on an authority? Aye. So if I says to you, I'm sure you all know how liquid behaves. Liquid will take the shape of its container, the surface is always horizontal and flat. Would you agree with that? And it doesn't matter how large I make that body of water, the physics are always going to be the same. Would you agree with that?
On this planet,
Well, that one fact would then disprove the theory that you live on a ball earth. Would you not agree with that?
Yeah, because technically the water would be curved.
The water would be bent and curved. Aye. Have you ever seen the curvature of the earth with your own eyes? No.
Streets of Glasgow are flat.
No, exactly. Aye, everywhere that you see is flat, the horizon's flat and level. So, do you think you'll look into it?
I've already looked into these
Looked into
things.
it.
I
Nice one.
can't conduct research myself, so
Well, you can. That's what a
I don't have the
scientist does.
equipment.
Well, what equipment do you really require?
well, it depends because I need to be able to travel a long distance, a space on the earth, and I don't have money to do that now.
Aye. Well, keep looking into it. Much appreciated, guys. Thanks very much for your time. All right, take it easy, boys. Thank you. You too, man.
See you after.
Take it easy. Cheers, buddy. Cheers, man. See you later. Hi, sir. What's your name? Sorry.
Alessandro.
Alessandro, have you ever heard of the flat Earth?
No.
You ever heard of the flat Earth theory?
Yeah, I
You
have
have?
it, but I don't know much.
You don't know much about it. Can I ask you where you heard about it?
Internet, maybe.
Internet.
Yeah.
What do you think of it? Do you dismiss it, or have you?
Well, I grew up to think that nothing can be really dismissed.
Yeah.
So you don't
Excellent.
really need to think about it. I never thought about it, to be honest, but
Yeah.
I'll probably think about it now.
Do you think it's important?
Eh?
Do you think it's an important thing to know and understand the shape of the Earth, where we are?
Yeah,
Yep,
of
yep.
course, knowledge is important. Of
Yeah.
course.
Excellent. Nice one. So hopefully you look into it then.
Yeah,
Thank you
well,
very much, man. Thank you.
Thank you.